All right, happy Thursday. We are on week 4 of our, is that right? Of our 6-week onboarding series, if you will. And we are now at the second P of pipes. So we've talked about how to prepare. You guys have started doing some of that. We talked about how to invite. So you guys are probably working on your scripts and you're trying to figure out ways to word things. Hopefully you got a chance to look at some of the information that I put into the links that I put into the group chat last week. So today we're going to talk about how to present. So I want you to know that I understand that, well, let me make sure you understand that I'm giving you the highlights of each of the foundational steps. But when it comes to building like a business plan for you, it's going to require a little bit more conversation and planning. So I don't expect you to end this series and then automatically be ready to launch. Like we're still going to have to meet with your upline, whoever you're working with, to build a plan that works for you. But these are the foundations. Okay, trying to make sure you have several components of the foundations. This training here, there is another training attached to it, but I'm gonna get you to the nitty-gritty and give you some basics when it comes to presenting. So when you are ready to do your official launch, you will have prepared, you'll have a list of names, right? Then you're going to go reach out to those people and invite them to whatever the opportunity might be, right? And hopefully that invitation will lead them to hearing our doTERRA spiel. All right. And that is where we present. That's it. This is the climax. When we can get them here, what typically happens is they come to this class or this conversation and they are ready to purchase if we have done the other pieces of it properly. Okay. So there is a piece of this training that we did not talk about. It's called, it's about sampling. That information is in the group chat, and it is the precursor to this conversation. So just know that if you want to go back and catch that, it'll kind of lay this out for you. So we are assuming that we've done our touch points, we're having the right conversations, we've formed, we've signed, right? And we have a person who understands they're coming into a conversation about essential oils, right? I would encourage you not to present until you have a person who's primed and ready to receive, a person who is primed and ready to make a buying decision. That's when we present, typically. Don't you love that? Typically. If you are building online, Micaiah, and anyone else who's going to have a social media presence, you're presenting all the time. It's different, though. It's little bite-sized chunks, right? It's a little bit different than this, what we're going to be talking about today. And that's why I think I mentioned before, when you build on social media, it's slower because you're not doing all of this prep work, so that when you go in for the presentation or the pitch, the person is not properly prepped for it. So the conversion is much lower until you have established yourself on the online space. Okay, Makai, so I want you to hear this, but don't get discouraged. It'll come if you stay consistent with it. All right. Now, the way that we traditionally build this business, we talked before. Okay, good. Makes sense. Okay, thanks. We talked before about how there was a traditional way. There's a tried and true method for building this business, but we also understand that the world is changing. I'm giving you here the tried and true because I think you need to know what has worked for so long, understanding that we are having to modify it a little bit, but get here the structure, here like the foundational pieces of this, and then you can pull from it what you need to have some success in this business. All right. So a reminder that you didn't get, but you will if you go back and watch about how to properly sample. When we are doing this presentation, when we are inviting someone to an essential oil class, whether it be in person or virtual, we are not inviting them there. This presentation is not to educate them on the power of essential oils. It's not. And I know in our brains it is, but it's not. Well, if you have a business that you want to be profitable, the purpose should not simply be education. The purpose should be to close the deal. We got to get paid in this, right? In order for us to stay, we need to make the money. So in your brain, remember, when I go into this spiel, my goal is to close the deal. That is the objective, right? So you want to make sure that you're speaking, you're introducing this to someone who is qualified. If you expect to close, you have to make sure this person is qualified. Now, marketing statistics, I think this has changed a little bit now. 7 touches. 7 touches is what it takes to establish a relationship, a rapport before someone is ready to make a buying decision, right? You're looking to develop the know, like, and trust factor. So if you don't know the person, it's going to take at least 7 touches in order for you to do that. Yeah? You tracking with me? So when you go back and watch the sampling, how to properly sample, it's giving you all 7 touches. It's giving you 7 opportunities to touch. This is where social media gets interesting because you can have more than 7 touches, right? You keep showing up, you keep showing up, you keep showing up. And eventually the people are going to feel like they know you, right? And they can feel comfortable making a buying decision. Okay, what else that we like to do before we bring someone into this conversation is we have given them a great oil experience. Now, an oil experience can go bad if they are not properly, trained properly, or not trained, but like if you didn't sample them properly, go back and watch the ways to sample. If you haven't sampled them properly, they could have a bad experience, or they could have no experience. Like, oh, I didn't really see a change. So our goal is to make sure we get them to have a great oil experience. And that other video will show you how to do that. The other thing is that we're especially at the beginning, you're looking for your leaders. You're looking for people that can build this business alongside you. So you want to make sure you're talking to somebody that's a 5 or a 7 at the beginning. Eventually you'll get like the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, right? But you want someone who's likely to want to purchase the product, right? So those are the 3 things you want to be looking for. Again, this is not a hobby. Well, if it is a hobby, just be clear that it's a hobby. But if you want this to be a business that is lucrative, that brings in income, you have to be ready, set yourself up for success, and get the right people to have these conversations with. All right. Now, after I just gave you all that complicated information, I'm going to tell you not to overcomplicate it. Keep it simple, sis. keep it simple. Now, we're talking about the presentation part. You want to keep that simple because, in the words of Elise Sedevy, we don't train people on what we know. We train them on what duplicates. So while you guys are all like I have a whole group of people here that are very articulate, you're very bright, I can tell just in your conversation. If you go into a class and you're presenting, whether virtual or in person, and you're presenting, and you're spewing out all of these, scientific facts and medical facts that you've learned, all these little nuggets you've picked up in all of your research, and you're spewing them out, it's impressive. You might sell all the oils, but nobody's going to want to do the business with you because they're going to say, I can't do that, right? So your goal is to keep this thing as simple as humanly possible. Keep it so simple. A lot of times I'll say, forgive me, I'm using notes. I know I've done this for 6 years and I'm still using notes. I'm not using the notes, but I want them to know that they can, right? But sometimes I am like, don't forget to say this. So keep it really, really simple. It's easier for you because you don't have that much to keep, right? It's easier for you. It's easier for them. And you're training them. You're looking for your business partners. So you're training them the moment that you see them. Okay. Some general tips when it comes to this presentation. All right. I don't personally believe in a script only because if I have a script, I am reading the script and I'm tied to it, not my people, unless I have a teleprompter, in which case that's great. But I like to be able to react to the audience, see what they're saying, see how they're responding. If they're looking at me like this, I know I've lost them. Let me clarify them, right? So for me, I like to have anchor points and little transitional phrases that help me weave through the material, right? That's how I've learned it. That's how I teach it. That's how I do it. But if you need a script to start, make a script. I had a script at the very beginning and I was like, I can't do this. I have to do this without a script. But do what works best for you. My recommendation is learn those anchor points throughout the conversation and little transitional phrases that will help you move and flow. Okay. Oil up, be as relaxed as possible. They can sense when you're nervous on virtual or in person, or, if you're going on your first live. If you look nervous, they'll be nervous for you. Sometimes what I'll do, because I think it makes you a bit more relatable, especially if you present well. We've all been trained how to speak publicly. So I think sometimes, I'll take my oil up and say, "Oh, I'm a little nervous. Let me oil up." So number one, they see like, "Oh, she gets nervous too." Number two, they see a practical way to use the oils. Right? So oil up, you can do it in front of them, just like let me get myself ready for this presentation, whatever you got to do. Be confident. You got the cookie, right? Make good eye contact, smile, and be as personal as possible, right? Use their names, use specific scenarios, right? When if they're telling you something, if they say that their kid Johnny has allergies, when you get to the oils that are good for allergies, you can say, Shirese, these will be really good for little Johnny because you mentioned that he had allergies. This is the combination you're gonna want, right? So you can do that. That especially if you're virtual, it just makes you more connected to the people. Practice in the mirror, do whatever you need to do. Watch yourself and see what you look like presenting. This is what I look like when I'm nervous, like I move and I'm overly animated. So I'm like always aware of that and try to bring it down. So maybe just be aware of what it looks like. And then my last tip, which is probably really should be one of the first tips, you don't have to know everything about the products. And even if you do, you shouldn't share everything you know. Get little short sound bites for our top selling products. So, I mean, it's your brain there's some muscle memory kicks in because you say the same things over and over again, right? So learn just a couple of sentences for each of our top products so that you know how to speak about them, and say you don't have to know all the things. Okay. Now, here's a little cheat sheet. This is the first thing that I used when I first started, and I went and Googled this. No one gave this to me. I went and Googled, okay, these are the top 10 oils. These are the oils that we typically talk about all the time. I personally I learned, I recommend you learn about the top 10, but I did plus four more just because there's four that I love. These top 10 oils are featured in most of our kits, which is why it would behoove you to learn just a few things about each of the oils, right? Because these are the ones you're going to talk to you. These are the ones that are going to be an easy sell for you. And also these are the ones that do the most. This combination can really, really help support a family. Okay. So this is an aid that you can have. You'll get this deck. I'll put this deck in the thingamabob, the group chat, so you have it. Another quick little hit is Lifelong Vitality. This is our best-selling product. Did you guys know that? Our best-selling product is not an oil. It is, in fact, these supplements. They've been the best-selling products for years now since we had them. So learn just a few points about the Lifelong Vitality pack so that you can speak to it. And one thing I like to say is, did you know that doTERRA's best-selling product was not an oil? Yes, it's these supplements. They're amazing, right? Okay, a lot of people are looking for like a high quality vitamin, so this one sells really well. So learn these little sound bites. If you are doing an in-person event, now we are transitioning on our team to doing this by way of a spa night. Times have changed. Getting people into a room to learn about essential oils is not as appealing to people as it once was, because if you want to learn about essential oils now, you just go to Instagram and you're going to get all the things that you need to know. But you can't have a true experience. Oops. Okay, you guys I'm missing the chats. Okay, hang on. I see your question, Melly. So you're not going to have a full experience over Zoom or over Instagram. That's what the in-person spa night does. It gives them a full doTERRA experience. And I find that people are like the amount of people that actually show up to these, that RSVP yes and actually show up on time and ready, is significantly higher than classes, like a general class. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to kind of give you a couple of things, but just know that we do this a little bit differently now. Some of the same principles, but we have a full spa experience. Okay, I'm going to stop for Millie's question. What if you get questions about whether or not you've tried a product? You just be honest and you say, you know what, I actually haven't tried that yet, but my sister uses it and she loves it, or it's our best-selling product, so people love it. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, or whatever. Or I haven't tried it yet. Let me ask someone that has. Yeah. And it's kind of like when you're talking to people, at the door, and they ask you a question that you don't know, you just say, it's a good question. Let me come back to that. Let me do some research, come back to you. Same thing. Same thing.
That's good. Yeah. Sometimes it's what I kind of I have to prepare more with, because you can hear the uncertainty in my voice.
Yeah.
So coach myself through that.
Yes, because if you are not confident, they will not be confident in you. But also try the products. Try, our best-selling products.
Right.
If you don't, I'll tell you, but try them. Each time you get and I know you're doing that already, Millie, right? But each time you get an LRP order, try something new from our best sellers. So you kind of have something to speak to. And we have an amazing and also crazy community of wellness advocates. So there's a lot of communities that I'm in that if you have a specific question, just let me know. I can drop it into one of those communities. Like I'm in the founders group. So these are people that have been around for a long time there's lots of doctors, medical professionals in there, scientists even in these groups. So, I can always drop questions in there for you guys to get answers for you. So, okay. Okay. So if you're going in person, the question is, what is it that we bring? Especially if you're about to launch your business and you're going to be doing lots of these in-person spa experiences or just an essential oil workshop. So we always recommend that you have some snacks and you have oils infused in those snacks. I just recommend you hold the snacks to the end. That's a little strategic move that we'll talk about a little bit later. My favorite snacks are apples soaked in On Guard. So yummy. That tastes like cinnamon apples. An essential oil water station where you can have like lemon and grapefruit and orange and all those things to put in the waters. You can also have healthy mimosas. So that's just champagne with orange or wild orange or tangerine or grapefruit is one of my favorites. Just a couple drops, just 1 to 2 drops is all you need. Top it with champagne. It's really yummy. Hummus, and put lemon inside the hummus, and then have veggies. Salsa, put lime in your salsa. It's so yummy. And then peppermint brownies. People literally, I'm known for my peppermint brownies, and it's just box brownies with peppermint in it. That's all it is. People are always like, can you make the peppermint brownies? Let me see if I can whip a batch up. Okay. Keep it simple. Keep the snacks really, really simple, and try to hold them to the end, because you might lose people if they're chomping while you're eating. While you're speaking. Especially if you're doing the spa night, you want this food out of the way. So for the spa classes, just so you know, we do one spa experience. So it starts out with like a presentation, a little short version of what we're about to get into. First spa experience, which is the facial. And then there's a little break, and we flip the room while they're partaking in the snacks. And then they come back, and then we have a final spa experience, and then we close. So that's kind of the flow for the spa night. And I've got that all documented. I'll share it with you guys. Okay, what to bring? I always bring a diffuser. Duh, at least one diffuser. And I put oils in the diffuser that have a smell, like a strong fragrance, and are a part of the top 10 oils. So sometimes I'll do On Guard and peppermint, or wild orange and peppermint. Don't put anything relaxing in there. And if you use that diffuser for sleep the night before, clean that bad boy out because you don't want them to relax because they will fall asleep during your presentation. We don't want that. All right. You can bring class guides, pens, always bring fresh fractionated coconut oil in case someone has a reaction to the oil. There are some books that you can bring, pre-made sample vials. These are things that are typical of a standard regular class, but I have another guide that will show you how to do the spa night classes. I just think it's more effective, but still, even then, keep it simple. All right. When you're in person, you want to make sure you have the right energy happening, get the room smelling good and with oils that wake people up and keep them focused. Have some sort of incentive to get people to get there early. You can say like, oh, the first 2 people that walk through the door, you're going to get an oily surprise or something like that, right? As people are coming in, and especially if you don't know these guests, as they're coming in, maybe there's a hostess that's hosting this class for you or this spa night for you. Talk to them, like get to know them as they come in. Okay. Get to know them as they come in and form them. Ask them a few questions so that you know why they are there, right? You want to know because then you can speak to that. Oh, I'm dealing with this or I'm dealing with that. And you kind of put a little mental note, maybe write it down someplace, maybe write it on your paper that you're going to have. Remember that you want to try to keep it conversational, not a presentation. I don't have like a slide presentation because it feels a little more like corporate. Have it like be a conversation. One of the things that I try to do is sit, not stand. So if you can sit, and sometimes, I've sat on the floor before. I'm also very aware of how I can come across to people, and I'm very aware how people receive me, and I'm reading the room as soon as I get in. So sometimes if I can tell that I'm not landing the way that I want to, I will sit on the floor and just kind of be a little more relatable and not so put together and polished as I was trained to be. Right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. I know Sharice and Shy, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. So, just have to be aware of who your audience is. So you want to control the conversation, and you do that actually, you're obviously going to want to get through your piece of it, but part of controlling the conversation is knowing when to bring them in and when to stop talking, right? Now, when you start opening it up for conversations, it can go out quickly. So you have to be able to rein people in and, okay, you know what? I'm going to talk to you about that right after. Don't forget. Keep that in mind. I want to talk about that. Ooh, I'm going to write that down. And I let them know sometimes I'll probably get to a lot of your questions. So if you hang tight with me, I'll probably get to that. Oh, yep, I got that coming for you. You're right with me, things like that so that you can keep it moving and you don't get caught up into like a spiral. Okay. And obviously make it fun, especially if you're doing a spa night. You want people to want to host these classes for their friends. You want them to do that. And so if it's not fun, then they ain't gonna be like, I was in school for 3 hours. No, thank you. All right. If you're doing this class, which is more of a presentation via Zoom, make sure you have good lighting. I've got a couple of lights, ring lights in front of me. Make sure your camera is centered. You're not looking up, you're not looking down, right? Be ready to share your screen because y'all see what happened to me all the time. Make sure you have an upgraded Zoom so it doesn't cut off early. If it's a lot of people, have somebody with you so they can keep check of the chat for you. So you're not having to do both and you can just focus. Encourage again, raffles, giveaways, get people there early so that they can catch it from the beginning. And then again, as they're coming in, form them, sign them. If you've been to any of my Zoom classes, you'll hear me say like, hey, where you coming from? Like what's your name? Where are you coming from? Who invited you? Why'd you accept the invitation? Things like that. Put it in the chat if they don't want to come off mute. But you want to kind of know what brought them there so you can weave that into your story as you present. All right. So those are just some basic tips. Now, you got them there. You have a captive audience. Let's talk about what we are going to say. Again, we're going to use transitional anchors so that we can get through the material smoothly. and you're going to practice. And by the way, Micaiah and anybody that's doing this on Zoom, excuse me, on social media, what we're about to talk about here is all the same things you would talk about on social media, just in little bite-sized chunks. And you would say these things, Micaiah, over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? Because you got to get the 7 touches right. So you got to keep saying the same things, but it's this basic concept that we're going to hit. All right. So number 1, got it. Good. Number 1, if someone is, and you don't know the people, these are not your people. Someone invited you to do this, or you got them to host a class for you, right? They don't know you. Then the person who is the hostess must edify you. I highly recommend, and don't skip this step if you can. Okay, don't skip this step. So the host will first start out and say, "Thank you guys so much for coming. I wanted you guys to come because I love essential oils, and Meli introduced me to these products, and I've been using them, and I could barely sleep at night, and now I use Serenity on the bottom of my feet, and I put some Serenity in my diffuser, and now the whole house is sleeping, and I love it so much. And so I wanted her to come and share with you about essential oils." Okay, now let me tell you what happened to me once. I had this girl, we went through this, what she was supposed to say about me. But she was so excited about the oils. Like, she was just going on and on and on. And I use this, and I use this, and I use it. It was well over 2 minutes. And everybody was like, just like, they were so captive. They were like, "Yeah, for real?" And then she says, "Okay. Oh, and this is Danny." That was her introduction to me. I was like, "Girl." Good thing is I did already know a lot of the people. I didn't know them well, but I knew them. So what you're after, if you don't know these people, they know, like, probably know, love, and trust the hostess, not you. So she's got to validate you so that they can start to know, like, and trust you, because you're going to be teaching the class, right? So her edification of you is really what is going to make the biggest difference. It's also going to make if you do this right, if you help your hostess do this right, it's also going to make the guests feel like, "Oh, we have somebody special." So let's say Sharice travels to Atlanta to do a class for Shy. Shy's going to be like, "Oh my goodness, my sister, she is amazing." She's one of the best educators I have ever met. She's so good. She's been using essential oils for 9 years, longer than me. I'm just making this up. She's the one that introduced me to doTERRA essential oils, and she's coming here all the way from Florida, y'all. And when she comes, she brings all kinds of oily treats. You are going to learn so much from Sharice. Here's my sister Sharice, right? So what does that do for the audience? They're like, "Oh," right? They're ready to receive it. So you want to make sure whoever you talk to, whoever's hosting, that you have that conversation. So what I will do is I will give them a couple of bullet points, and I will say, and then anything else you love about me, like, "Don't you think I'm funny?" Say it. Sean, you. So whatever, you want it to be natural, right? You don't want it to feel forced, but you also don't want them to skip this part. So you have a captive audience that's ready for you. Okay. So that's the number 1. We're going to anchor it. We're going to start it out with an edification, and it is from the host. If you are hosting your own event, then you would just talk about your love of essential oils and your story, which is a whole thing that we need to master. I think we're going to do that in Sarasota. I think I gotta look at the outline. Anyway, master the story. That's a whole other thing. All right. Oh, wait, no, here we go. Share your story. So let's say you have a hostess, they've edified you, people are ready for you to come up and speak. You're going to share your story. You're going to keep it relevant to your audience because you've been forming them. You know, you know what things they care about. So that's the story you're going to tell. You probably have had several. If you've been doing this for a minute, right? And even if you haven't, you will have several experiences with these products that are game changing for you. So you're going to pull the story that's going to fit the audience, right? Keep it short as possible. I know it's really hard. Keep it short, keep it relevant, and keep it interesting. Sometimes we are recommended to start with a hook. Start with the part of the story that reels them in off the gate. Yeah, I don't know what's happening over here, y'all. Okay. Start with the part of the story that reels them in. So one of the stories that I share if I'm talking to people about, if I'm talking to people and there's a lot of people in the audience who have anxiety, I'll tell that part of my story. And I'll say, I'm so glad to be here with you guys. Before I was, did this, I was an event planner. And so one day I had a wedding, and the bride, right before she walked down the aisle, I almost passed out, which is not what you want for the wedding planner. And people are usually like, what? And that's where I start the story, right? And then I give them the context, and then I tell them how the products have helped me. But you're hooking them in off the gate, right? A lot of times it's like, well, back in 1985 is when I was first introduced to doTERRA. They weren't even around that time, but you know what I'm saying. You don't have to give it chronological. You can just grab the experience that really stood out to you and start there, okay? All right, so we're gonna keep it short, keep it simple, keep it relevant, keep it interesting. And then at the end of the story, what I like to say my transition is, and that's why I'm here with you today. And I lean in physically, and that's why I'm here with you today. Okay. I do this very concise in a spa class, but I'm giving you the tried and true method here. Okay. That's why I'm here with you today, because I'm so passionate about these products. They have literally changed my life and so many of my family and friends. And this is why I do this full time now, because I know the value of these products. Okay. So when I'm doing a traditional class, then the very next thing that I talk to them about is, well, I connect with them. Now, for a spa night, I'm doing this before they come in, but if you have an opportunity to do this in a traditional class setting, maybe online, I highly recommend it if you can make time for it. So that's why I'm here. Why are you here? What made you accept this invitation? What made you show up today, right? If you can tell me in 3 words or less why you're here today, we're going to just go around the horn, right? I definitely do this at a Zoom class, right? And now we close our mouth and we listen. And we take notes if you want to. You're listening for the sign. You're listening for what they have. If you're doing this one-on-one, it's even better. You're letting them get it out. These are the things that are ailing me. These are the problems that I'm dealing with, right? I always say 3 words or 1 sentence, and it's usually like a solid 2 minutes. And that's okay for some groups, that's okay, because I need to connect. And I know I've done my job, y'all, when somebody starts crying. People are hurt out there. So when you allow them to pour out, think of it like a water bottle. Before you can, if it's a full water bottle, you can't add any extra water in. It's going to overflow, right? But if you can pour a little bit out, then it has room for you to pour in. And that's what we're doing with this connection, right? So if you're doing a spa night or some event that doesn't allow for this, try to give people an opportunity to pour before you pour in, right? Does that make sense? Okay. I'm telling you, it's so powerful, especially if you're sitting and you're leaning in and you're listening to people as they speak. Okay. So as they're sharing, you're going to say something like, thank you so much for opening up. Thank you guys so much for sharing this. Cause it gets real personal, y'all. It gets really personal. And we don't really know what people are dealing with. Okay. See, I love this part of it. Okay. But you're connected. Yes, yes, good. The water bottle example, good. All right, so we're connecting with them. We're trying to establish a rapport. We want them to open up. We want them to share so that we know how best to help them. All right, so then okay, so yeah, that's my transition. I'll say thank you so much for opening and sharing. Okay, guys, so I know that I have done my job today. If I leave here and we set our intentions with the 3 E's. You leave here feeling educated on what essential oils are and how they work, equipped on how to use them safely, and empowered to take control of your health with a customized wellness plan. All right. So those are the 3 E's. The 3 E's for spa night is a little bit different, but I still do 3 E's, I think. it might be 3E and a D, 2 E's and a D, maybe. I don't know. Okay. So after we set the intention, we let them know why we're here, what they should get from it. Then we transition into, we get into the meat and potatoes of why we're here. We've poured, let them pour out, and now we're about to pour in. So that's when I say, like, I'm using notes, don't judge me. And I have a class guide that I give out in spa nights as well as regular classes and in-person classes. So you pass the things out, let them make sure they have paper and pen to write on. And this is what it looks like. This is the top half of the class guide, okay? So these are, if any conversation that you have with anybody about doTERRA, the next 2 slides are the foundational things. If all you have is 5 minutes, these are the things you want to hit. How much time you have, you can expound on them. The more you learn about it, depending on who you're talking to, you can add more color, more detail, based on who they are and what they need. But these are the things that you need to know about doTERRA. So we're going to explain, Elise Sedevi, who's a top-ranked wellness advocate in doTERRA, and she's our upline. She calls this 3 cool things about essential oils. And I think that's the dumbest way to say it, but that's what she says. My upline says there's 3 reasons why I reach for essential oils, or why we reach for essential oils: because they are safe, they are effective, they are affordable. Those are the 3 things. Okay. How can we say they're safe? And then, guys, all you got to do is read straight from the slide. And if you're smart, sometimes I'm not, because I just be like getting on tangents. If you're smart, you will literally read straight from the thing, and you can add a little bit of color and flavor and examples as you need. But if you follow exactly how it's written there, the people in your class are going to be like, I can do that. That's easy. All she's doing, I see what she's doing. Right? Shirese.
So, certified pure tested grade, is that the T is that new? I remember years ago it used to, because I really wrapped my mind around that certified pure therapeutic grade. Has that changed?
Yeah, FDA made us change it.
Okay.
Even though but they made us change it. Yeah. So it's tested now.
Okay.
But yeah. So so you can color this as much as you want. There are a few things that I like to say. I'll give that to you guys at a different time, or maybe we'll schedule one of these and you guys can come in here. And then we talk about how they're effective. We talk about how the oils work with the body, try to keep it as simple as possible. But this, to me, is the money shot is number 2, how they work with the body. So really understand those. I have scripts out there that you can grab your there is a talking point guide. You can grab a couple of nuggets from there so that you understand. You got to understand how they work with the body first, so that then you can explain to other people. But this right here is what's so powerful. And then we talk about how they're affordable. Most people think that doTERRA is expensive, but it's an investment, Black people and Spanish people, okay? And white people that aren't investing, but y'all usually do. It's the rest of us that are not investing in our health. So, I talk a little bit about that there under the affordability part, right? Without shame, but awareness and empowerment is really important here. All right. So you talk about, explain what the oils are, how they work, and how doTERRA is different. And I usually talk about how doTERRA is different right here under safe. I talk about these bottles of oils have been tested over 50 times each bottle. And guys, when I went to Pennsylvania last week, that was just last week, wow, to see the process of distilling an oil, I'm like, doTERRA is doing something that nobody else is doing. Literally, they run 4 batches of huge barrels of oils every day of birch. And every batch, they have to get a little bit, every single one, every single day, and send it to doTERRA. doTERRA runs it through a series of tests. And if anything shows up off, that batch, all that work is no bueno. They didn't say what they do with it, but doTERRA don't use it. So it's very rigorous testing that happens here to make sure these oils are safe and consistent, which is, in the medical world, that's what they're looking for, that it's consistent time after time after time again. So our lavender, they've gone through a series of medical testing there. that's not the word, but clinical trials and clinical testing on our lavender, and they have labeled our lavender pharmaceutical grade because of its consistency. Okay, so it's the real deal here. So I usually talk about why doTERRA is different under that safe part. I talk about the testing and also how the oils are harvested. Those are things that are, I think, important for people to know. Okay, so you understand. And here's my transition to the next slide. Now you understand, because you have an understanding of what essential oils are and how they work with the body. Let me tell you how to use them. Okay, so then we talk about how to use essential oils safely. These are powerful oils, right? So we talk about the 3 ways to use them: ATI, aromatically, topically, or internally. And then we walk through examples of each of these as to how we use these oils. And one thing I want to say is, if you're in a traditional class, you're passing around the oils. We talk about safety, we talk about peppermint. Pass around peppermint for people to see. There's a whole peppermint experience where they put a drop of peppermint in their hands. Everybody does this, and then they smell it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, my sinuses are opening up. Oh my gosh, my headache is gone. You'll get various reactions. Then we'll say, okay, put the rest on the back of your neck. Always have coconut oil for this. Then in a few minutes, you're going to feel oh my God, I feel it now. It's cooling. I was so hot before, right? Like, you get all of that. You're getting an experience. In the in the spa night, the experience is like that times 12. So it's not, I don't even do the peppermint, but maybe I will start doing that. Okay, so with each of these oils, except for lavender and serenity and like the sleepy time oils, I don't crack those bottles open. People start immediately. Okay, but you can pass them around, let them smell it. Sometimes I'll say with On Guard, what do you smell? And they'll be like, ooh, I think I smell that clove. Like, let them label like what they smell, let them have an experience. Okay, so the same is true with the how we use essential oils safely. We talk through each ones of these aromatically, topically, internally. We give them a couple of key things. When you get the talking points, you'll be able to see some of the things that we say, some of the key points that we say. If I'm in a room full of people who are dealing with stress and anxiety, I hit the aromatic use hard. I hit it hard. I show them how it's working physiologically in the body. And we do a little bit of mindset work here in this part. Yeah. And we talk about, so hear me out. You ready? Hear me out. We glorify frankincense in our classes. Sometimes I'll say, can we just take a moment and bow down to the King of all essential oils? He is all things to all people. When in doubt, pull your frankincense out. It was good enough for Jesus, good enough for me. That's my spiel. Right? A couple of reasons why we God's favorite. Exactly. He loves the aroma. So why do I do that? Why do we do that? Number one, frankincense is one of the most expensive essential oils. One of the most expensive essential oils. And it is one of the most powerful oils they can get their hands on. Okay. It hits on so many different things. Frankincense combined with any other oil, that other oil will be more effective with the properties of frankincense. It is an amazing, amazing essential oil. So speak to that, because it's true, but also it's a high dollar oil, right? So if you get them sold on the use of frankincense, it's like wholesale, I think it's like $80 now, maybe a little less than that. If you sell them on the idea that they need frankincense, it's so much easier to upsell them to a kit, because you're going to spend $80 on frankincense. You might as well spend $160 on and have 10 oils. Might be smaller, but 10 oils versus just one, right? So and people, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. 10, right? And it does. It just makes sense to do it that way. We don't want them to leave with just one oil, because we understand how these oils work differently with all different bodies. And we want them to have an array. So in case that doesn't work for them, or they're not going to see likely immediate results from frankincense, but they can get some immediate results from these other oils. Okay. So we talk about how to use essential oils safely. All right. So at this point, this is a great opportunity in a traditional class where we would spoil our guest. Oh, Maylee, yes.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I
No,
just
interrupt me.
I had a question. So in that sense, then, like would you want to kind of say like, okay, Copaiba, kind of the poor man's frankincense, works also too with other oils? or like, because you would rather them buy the 10 effective versus the 1 frankincense. Am I getting that?
Yes, so frankincense is in the kits.
Right.
So what I'm saying is I'm trying to upsell them to a kit that has other oils. I think that Copaiba is a great add-on, but
Okay.
I would not off the gate. Okay, Bailey, you make a good question. Hear me out.
Okay.
I am not going to offer them, because we're in sales, this is a business. I am not going to offer them a cheaper oil unless they tell me they want a cheaper oil. I'm not going to assume that frankincense is too expensive for them, because let me tell you something, it's worth every single penny.
Yes, definitely.
So I would not offer that upfront. And frankincense and Copaiba they have completely different property profiles,
Okay.
different chemical compositions, but they do some of the same things. And they're similar in that they do a lot of things. They have a lot of properties and a lot of chemicals in them. But I wouldn't, unless someone is telling me that, oh, you know what, frankincense is too expensive, or unless I'm in that conversation and I know that about the person, that they're on a budget, I may offer Copaiba, but they're different.
Okay.
You follow?
Got No, I do. Yes. Got it.
Okay. Yes.
Thanks.
So yeah, you're welcome, but don't try to save don't get out of their pockets. Get out of their pockets. I'll tell you what somebody told me once in my wedding planning business. She was like, stop putting your financial trauma on other people. Just because you broke, don't mean they are. So don't do that. There's
broke are not. Yeah.
What'd you say?
The ones you think are broke are not.
Yeah, right. I remember I sold this woman a kit. It's the top 10 oils. It was $160. And I was like, I sold it to her. And then she called me later and she asked me something. And I was like, yeah, well, there was another one that was a little bit more, it was a little bit more expensive though, but the bottles are bigger. And she was like, wait, there is another version that has 3 times the oil and it was only $100 more expensive. Why on earth didn't you tell me that? Let me decide. I mean, she's like that. She's let you know. Let me decide. And I had to go to doTERRA and have to like do a whole thing to get her upgraded. And I learned, I was like, yo, I'm never doing that again. If I just let them know, that's all you got to do is let them know. And then they will tell you, I promise you, they ain't gonna let you spend their money if they ain't got it. Okay, I know that's not probably where you were going with that, but I had to say it. Okay. All right. So now we say something like this. I know, okay, guys. I know you guys are eager to get these oils in your home, but before we do it, I gotta spoil you guys just a little bit, right? So at this point, you may want to call up your hostess and thank her for having you, for hostessing you. Give her a little gift. Let them all know that you love to spoil your people. Excuse me. And, have some door prizes, do something to get oils in people's hands. Okay. There's lots of ways that we can do this. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Now it's time to close them out. We are going to remind them of their sign. We do this a little bit differently in the spa nights, but we're going to remind them of their signs. On that form you gave them, if you tell them to flip it over, there's a section on the back that says, write down your top 3 health concerns, right? So maybe they already told you some of the things. So you're going to remind them, calm them down, because they're usually like real hype at this point. You gave up a bunch of giveaways. They're like loving the oils, right? So you're going to calm them down, refocus, get into their heads, talk to them. You came here for a reason, right? There's something in your life that drove you to accept this invitation and come and spend a Friday evening with us, right? Why? What are the top 3 things that are happening in your life? The things that are making you lose sleep. What are the things? Write them down. What are those 3? Write those 3 things out and get them quiet, get them focused, give them a few minutes, hushy, shuddy, let them reflect. Okay. And then when they come out of that, everybody's done writing that out. Then we go in to close the deal. This has changed because the way that we purchase now is a little bit different, but we explain how to purchase, how to close the deal. And if you're about to do one of these classes, talk to me and we'll talk through what makes sense now because it is a smidge different. Okay, but you're going to close the deal. You're going to tell them how they can get started. Right? We're going to map that out for them. But before we actually close, which is a one-on-one conversation, we're going to talk to them about this. Right. Now I'm going to tell you a little story, little Elise Sedevies story. Elise used to have these big training classes. This is the part of the class that most people avoid. But she would have these retreats and she would bring people to this mountain house. And about halfway through, she would stop and say, hey, okay, at this point, we're going to have ice cream. So I have ice cream stations set up in the kitchen. Go get your ice cream. So everybody would go and they would come back. And all she had to offer them was vanilla. So people would come back with their vanilla ice cream. And she's up at the front eating, Rocky Road with a little bit of cookies and cream on the side with some like hot, some warm, what is that? Chocolate stuff that you put on fudge and sprinkles and whipped cream and a cherry. And they're like, she's like, isn't this so good? And they're like, hold up. We didn't see those options. What are you doing? Like, can we get some of that? And she says to them, well, what do you mean? All you had to do was open the freezer. If you open the freezer in my kitchen, you would see all of the options of ice cream that you could have. And they're like, well, we didn't know that. Why would, we want some of that, right? And she lands her plane here. Well, that's how a lot of your customers feel because you never tell them the options that are available to them. You're eating the ice cream, you're eating the cookie, but you don't offer it, right? So this is where we invite them to do this with you because you don't know what kind of ice cream they want. They may just want vanilla, but they also might want some of what you got, right? So all we do is put the option on the table. There is a script that I use. I have memorized the script for this part of it. I keep it really short and succinct. I offer them an opportunity to live the wellness lifestyle. That means they get the products, they use the products, they love the products. I offer them to share. You use them, you love them, and you probably want to share them. So there's a way that we do that. And then I offer them an opportunity to join me and change lives. And when I finish it, it is a script that I use that I have memorized. When I finish that, I say to them very sincerely, and all I want you to know is all options are on the table. You get to pick. If any of those options, if you get to pick, and when we come by and speak to you individually, you can let me know. I want to live, I want to share, I want to build, and I'll give you any information that you need to get started. It's on the table. The ice cream is out there. You pick if you want it, okay? If you don't do this, you will probably not have a successful, thriving doTERRA business. Yeah, yes, Micaiah, put it out there. It's all on the table. It's up to you. We don't lead with the business because we don't have to. Our product line is so solid and strong. But in order to build a lucrative business, you have to have business partners. And you will never have business partners if you don't talk about the business options. And right now, there's so many, and they're so much better than they used to be when I first got started. All right. So that is the last thing that I say. I leave them with that. And then we close the deal. All right. So I let them know, okay, I'm going to come around, or we're going to come around, talk to you one-on-one. We're going to help you customize a wellness plan, customize a kit that meets your needs and your budget. I am sensitive to budget. I am, because I'm on one. So I want someone that's sensitive to my budget as well. But I'm also, you won't have to tell me what your budget is if you want me to be sensitive to it, right? So I'm going to tell them which kit. So we're going to walk around and do this individually one-on-one. I try not to close with a link. I try to do it one-on-one and send a link to them, and they do it in front of me. There's a lot of reasons why I do that. And this is where the snacks and stuff and the reference books and stuff come in handy, because while you're working with one, the others are talking and they're eating and they're looking through the books. All right. So one-on-one, there's a few words and scripts that we can use to close the deal. I have classes on how to kill the close. but you're going to do that one-on-one and close them. And that's the end of this presentation. Okay, close the deal. Okay, now, because I realize this isn't about closing, this is about teaching the class, but that's how we do it. Now, teach this class until you know it by heart. If you decide to do traditional class like this, then teach it and do it until you just memorize it. Practice it, practice it, practice it, practice it. All the things, right? If you're doing a spa night, do it multiple times. Do it multiple times until you really know how to do this, right? Look for opportunities to do it. When we talk about a launch, an official launch of your business, what that means to us in the world of doTERRA, okay, hear me out. Don't get traumatized when I say this, but just hear me out and you'll hear why in a second. It's 4 of these classes, spa or otherwise, in 1 week. That is an official Elise Sedavi recommended launch. Why? Well, you're talking to a ton of people. Your pipeline is full of people if you're trying to get people in each of these classes. My goal is no more than 10. No more than 10, because you need it to feel intimate and personal, right? So that's at least 40 people at a minimum. That's at least 40 people. And it's like triple that because you got to account for the people that can't make it or are not interested, right? You've got this pipeline full of people. You're starting with your 5s and 6s and 7s. So there's some people in there that are probably going to be interested in the business opportunity, right? So as you're launching your business, you have this huge pipeline full of people ready to do the thing with you, right? And now your organization, there's tons of people that you can structure in the right place, which we've not gotten to. We will talk about at the next call, how to structure those people properly so that you have a successful business, right? And the other piece of this, y'all, is you get really good at all of this. You get really good at the conversations. You get really good at the close. You get really comfortable talking about the products. You get really, really comfortable right off the gate. And then it's only up from there, right? So we have a lot of people that do the launch. It's a program we call 6 weeks to elite, right? It's 4 classes in your first week. You take a week off it's not off, but you take a week to like structure and to like close these deals and plan. And then you do 2 classes the next week, 2 classes the next week. That should bring you enough volume in to have you hit elite within that's 4 weeks, but there's some prep time in there. 2 weeks before a preparation before you can go into that intensity of a launch. And then after you have launched, now you've got all these people. If you've done this right, you've got all these people, you've got people in the right spot. Hopefully you've got your business partners if you're leading with the business, right? Or you're bringing that opportunity up. You've got a properly structured organization. And now you can go to what they recommend, which is 4 classes in a month. So a class a week. It can look like however you want it to look like. Right? So what you're trying to do is, number 1, get your customers on an LRP, ordering on a regular basis, those people that you just brought in. And then you're also simultaneously bringing in new people every month. And that, my friends, is where people go wrong in this business. They have a class and they don't have another class for like 6, 7, 8 months. Well, we have a very high retention rate as a company, but in each individual organization, like our retention rate is like 30%. That's still high for network marketing. Usually it's like 15%. But 30% is not high. 30% of your customers are reordering. That means 70% are not. So if you're not adding new people to your organization, you will not grow. It's strictly a numbers game. So when I look at what has happened to people in my organization and people across doTERRA, it's that they have a class. It's amazing. They have so much fun and they'll never have another one. Like it's not, the math ain't mathin'. Now, depending on your goals, maybe it's a class a month. That's cool. Just know if you're doing a class a month, just know, depending on, where you are in your business, just know it's going to feel like you're starting all over for every new class. Cause it's, until you get into a really good groove, it's going to be like, okay, what did I say? I do this again. Hell. So you have to just keep all of that in mind as you go into this so that you can be really, I want your businesses to be like lucrative. that what you want? Yeah, I think that's why you're here. So these are some of the pitfalls that I've seen happen to people, or the challenges people have had, and these are some of the ways that we can overcome them. Woo! All right. Feedback. Talk to me, party people.
It's a lot of information, but it's good. It's
It
good. Convincing myself that I can do it. That's all.
Oh, I know you could do it. I'm going to tell you like Elise said of you, and I'm going to lean in close.
Okay.
If you don't believe you can do it yet, Micaiah, you lean on my belief in you. 'Cause
No,
I absolutely know you can. This
no,
is
yeah. I'm interested
everybody.
in in-person classes, but that's what scares me. Like I feel like I could do virtual, but I would like to do in person, but it's just the setup, finding the right place and all that, like it's just intimidating.
Oh, really? Because you just do it in your house.
Yeah. I don't like like with strangers because I'm a lot of the
Oh.
people are strangers. I don't want to have them over.
Okay, so Micaiah makes a really good point. She makes a really good point. Okay. So when you are launching your business, you are not typically you're in your warm market. You start in your warm market. You start with your family, your friends, the people that are closest to you. Some people are hesitant to, I don't know, Micaiah, if maybe this is why you're thinking that. Some people are hesitant to reach out to their family and friends because they don't want to be salesy to them.
Mhm.
So, but have you what have these products done for you, Micaiah? Can you just share?
Yeah, well, the fibromyalgia, they've helped me with my energy for the most part. And then that helping with the energy helped in other aspects of my life. And then just the oils, they help with my nervousness and they're impacting me positively for sure.
Do you think that maybe that might be nice to share that with other people?
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I do, but it's just like you said, it's the fear of being too salesy. Especially because my family, they lead with, oh, they're expensive.
Yeah,
That's
so
what puts me off.
where your focus goes, your energy flows. Don't focus on that piece. Focus on what you want to do.
Hmm.
Don't focus on what you don't want to do or what you don't want to be. Focus on what you want to be.
Hmm.
I want to help you. Focus on that. You lean into that.
Right.
Worry about the rest of the stuff. I promise you.
I believe you. I do believe.
So one of the things that you can also do for your family and friends, you can tell them, listen, I don't recommend this, but if this is an obstacle for you, then try it like this. You can say, I don't want you to buy anything. I want you to come and just let me practice.
Mm,
Give me some
okay.
feedback. Let me practice.
Okay.
They will
on by.
buy. I just want you to.
I just want to tell you, Micaiah, I have not heard your story, but just in the way that you said what you said, you piqued my interest.
Oh, thank you.
There are just the energy that you shared with saying it helped you with your fibromyalgia. I don't know what that means, and I would have questions. So I'm just
Mm,
don't underestimate the power of that statement because it sounded
Yeah.
intriguing to me.
thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out a way to word my story in a way where it engages people and makes them want to know more. So thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, well, fibromyalgia is a very common now, unfortunately,
Hmm.
challenge that people have physically. So you sharing that from something that Jehovah created, I'm sure that'll go a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. I agree. I agree.
Yes, honey. There's a way that there's some training around how to craft that story. Are you okay, Shad?
Yeah, just,
Got a little
inhale
emotional.
while I was trying, and it just, went down the wrong pipe.
Yeah, we can do some additional training on how to craft that story and how
Yeah.
to, how to start sharing it. Compliantly is going
Right.
to be your challenge on social media. So
Yeah.
just so you guys know, the reason why we do these in person and intimate is so we don't have to speak compliantly. Very rarely is somebody going to be in there, let me record this for the FDA. Wah, ha, 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 ha. It's not typical in a small group, right? But I
Right.
am still like when I'm speaking in a small group, I am still careful about what I say. Less concerned about the FDA, more concerned about people. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not telling you frankincense can cure cancer, but
Mm.
I'm sharing stories.
Yeah. I've
I
seen
can
some.
tell you. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, like that, when you're on a social media platform or you're producing content that is recorded and can be viewed or written, if anybody's still doing blogs, like written, anything like that, the FDA is all over doTERRA. That's why we can't say therapeutic any longer. So there's certain claims that we can and cannot make. And what you don't want to do is start putting out content that's non-compliant, and then you're going to be on doTERRA's hit list. It's not really a hit list because what they're doing is they're trying to protect you from the FDA, because the FDA, you're not employed by doTERRA. You're independent. The FDA will come after you and fine you. And we've had doctors be fined upwards of $15,000.
Oof.
Yeah. So doTERRA is compliance department is working proactively to try to protect us, but that is going to be difficult for you to tell your story compliantly. It's not impossible. You can totally do it.
Mhm.
But yes.
Yeah. That's why I want the meetings. The
Yeah.
in-person meetings are
Yeah.
Zoom. I'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
I'm sorry?
No, I said I'll figure it out. I've been brainstorming some ideas, so I'm sure I'll figure it out. I just
You
have
will.
to get into it.
The spa night, Micaiah, is a really easy sell. Come to spa night.
True.
That's
Hey,
fun.
Dan.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did somebody say, hey, Danny Flynn?
I did.
Hey.
So I think attempted to find out what this benefit is or what the benefit is of this particular touch. Because I used it last Friday and I put it on my trapezius muscle, which is
Shy's
These-
a massage therapist.
yes, these muscles right here that get tense when you're working.
Uh-huh.
And this took the tension out of my muscles.
Interesting.
That's what I thought. I put this on because I have, I guess, basically nerve damage, compressed discs in my neck. And so I'm constantly in pain in that area. And even when I'm working, even if like right now I'm looking straight up, but this isn't the computer I use anyway. Sometimes it requires me to look down, and that's when I just have like this radiating pain that just comes. I put this on, I forgot I had pain within like 2 minutes of me putting this on.
Helichrysum. Well, I know it's I'm probably gonna say this wrong, but I know it's oh, it's in deep blue. That one makes sense then. It's a oh, I can't, vasoconstrictor. It's a, yeah. So it's it helps with well, that's cypress.
It's probably more like a analgesic.
It might be, but it's known for being the oil. They call it liquid Band-Aid.
Oh, okay.
So now I'm like so curious about what the properties are. Where's my oil book?
It's been in recipes that are for pain, the oil recipes that are for pain.
Interesting.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I
Interesting.
have it here and I have a little one and it's almost gone. So I know I've used it. It has not been recent because that doesn't even have a QR code on it. So it's not an, it's not a bottle, but yeah. But I know that I was using it for a time in a recipe that was for pain.
Okay. It's a good one. It's really great for your skin. I can tell you that right now. It's really good for healing.
It says that it soothes inflammation, which makes sense, while also reducing pain with its built-in analgesic properties.
There you go. I had no idea it was an emojis.
How many people does it take to come up with doTERRA properties for Hella Chris?
3.
Bye, Melly.
Bye,
I
Melly.
love it. I
Bye.
love
Thank
it.
you so much, everyone. See you next week.
Okay.
See you
bye-bye.
not next week. We'll update you.
Okay.
We won't be here next week. We'll be Sharice, and me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Right.
No worries.
We'll be in a training next week, but the following week we'll be back at it.
Okay, awesome. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a great
All right.
night, everyone.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Any other questions before we wrap?
Nope.
Feeling good?
Nope.
All right. And Micaiah, like I really want to encourage you to partner with Shari on maybe attending an in-person experience. I think you'll see that it's not quite as intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you'll be really good at that. But also online. I mean, do both.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to have a hybrid thing going. So
I think it'll be good.
thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
And it'll be fun. And if you guys have questions in the meantime, just ask me.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Stop the recording.
Oh.
Yeah.